Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalazar with Hive Mind Gaming, coming at you with another Kickstarter exclusive video. Today we're going to take a look at Marvel United X-Men. So just 1 year ago, Marvel United came out, and it was mostly about the Avengers and people associated with them, and just basic characters from all over the MCU. Now, keep in mind, this is based off of the comics, not the actual MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just the MU, the Marvel Universe. So, Marvel Comics Universe. There you go. That's probably the best way to say it. So, basically, this one is the X-Men version. Now, the fact that they didn't mention this kind of sucks because, I mean, who would rather, show of hands, who would rather have the X-Men version of this game versus the Avengers version of this game? I mean, because X-Men are just better. But anyway, that's probably why they're doing it second. I don't know. They wanted to draw you in with the first one, knowing that this is the one you would probably want more. But this video is basically to talk about what's different between the first and the second. There's really not a lot different between the two, but we're going to go over those things that are. So the first thing we want to talk about is the price difference. A lot of people were complaining that it's $5 more than the original was. So the original was actually $60 for the base pledge. That's what you paid for if you just wanted the base box, the core box, and of course all the stretch goals. In this one, we're looking at $65 for the base pledge with all the exclusives. Now, what are the differences between what you're getting between the two? Well, for the core boxes, in the old, there were 5 heroes. In the new, there are 6 heroes. Now, these are just heroes. For villains, in the old one, there was 3 villains, and the new one, you have 2 villains, but then you also have 2 anti-villains. Anti-villains are new to the system, the X-Men system, and that's going to allow you to play the character as both villain and hero, not at the same time. So there can't be any funky multiple universe things happening. You can only have either one as the villain or one as the hero, one or the other. You can't have Magneto fighting Magneto. So right there are at least 2 more miniatures in the core box versus the original. Next, we've got the locations. They're exactly the same. They both have 1 mission board. They both have, one has, the old has 3 villain dashboards, which makes sense because there's only 3 of them. And the new one obviously has 4 since there's 4 villains. Hero cards, the original was 60, the new one is 96. Mastermind cards, these are cards that the villain use. There's 36 in the old one, and the new one has 48. Mission cards, there's 3, and in this one there's 4. Again, has to do with the villains. The threat cards, these are the cards that go around the table that you have to deal with that are on each location. In the original, there's 18. In the new one, there's 24. Each one came with a villain tracker. And the first one came with 155 tokens, and this one comes with 154. Now, that's what everything that's alike in these boxes. The new one also includes 12 supervillain cards, which are used in the 1 versus many portion of the game, which we'll go over in just a moment. Superhero cards, also used in that play mode. And then 3 challenge cards. And then on top of that, if you get this Kickstarter, you get 3 Kickstarter exclusive villains, which are the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which is Pyro, Blob, and Toad. So So yeah, so for $5 extra, so for everyone complaining about the $5 extra, um, you should probably be crying that you paid 60 for the first one. That's what you should probably be crying about. All right, now with that being said, let's get into the things that are slightly different between this one and the first one. Mostly, it's nothing. There is literally very little difference between the first one and the second one. All right, so, but some of the changes that have been made, one is the anti-hero. So if you look down here, Magneto and Mystique both, because they have on multiple occasions flip-flop from good guy to bad guy, from good guy to bad guy, they are actually both good and bad. So that's why they're in purple. So, because good guys are always in blue, bad guys are always in red. So they are purple, which is the mixture of those two colors. Makes sense, right? So yeah, so that's the anti-hero. Then one of the changes they made to this version of the game was some of the heroes actually have cards that start in their hand. So it's not necessarily that they start in play. It's just that they start with them in their hand, so therefore most likely to use them. So which is actually pretty neat. I really dig that. Some of them, like for instance, Wolverine, he starts with his healing factor in his hand so that, you know, he can get it on the board as soon as possible. And the cool thing about it is when that's on the board, it gives a passive ability for Wolverine as long as it's on the tracker, as long as it's been played and on the board, he will always receive a passive from it. So, which is really cool. So there's a lot of cool abilities like that. Next, and the biggest thing that they added to this this version of the game, I guess expansion. I don't know, what do you call this? Just I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you would call this, because I mean they can be played together. You can use heroes from either one to fight the villains from either one. So I don't know. Anyway, this version of Marvel's United, it will also include a 1 versus mini mode. So the original version came with a solo mode that was a part of that Kickstarter. It was unlocked by a stretch goal. Well, this one actually comes in the core box, and it's a 5 versus mini mode. Now, what that means is it's allowing for a 5th player, where the first one is 1 to 4 players. This one's going to be 1 to 5 players. The 5th player obviously playing the bad guy, the villain, the super villain. And so what the super villain is going to be allowed to do, instead of drawing the top card of the deck during the villain turn, the villain actually draws 4 cards at the beginning of the game, and that's his hand. Then he gets to play them as he sees fit. So he gets to actually choose which card that he plays. So huge advantage, especially depending on some of the villains that are out there. I mean, huge advantage. So next, the other big thing that they've changed with this mode is you can see right here in the center of the screen, there's the superhero cards and the super villain cards. These are all a part of this new 1 versus mini mode. Now, what happens is these 12 cards right here are shuffled, and the villain, the super villain, draws 4 of them, chooses 1 and discards them. So he will have 3. Each card has a trigger at the top of the card that tells you when it can be played or triggered. Once it gets triggered, then that's when we figure out what the effect is, and the effect is what we do. And then here's the cool part. The superheroes have a similar mechanic. So like I said, at the beginning, the supervillain draws 4, discards 1, so he has 3 for the entire game. The superheroes, each superhero draws 2 from the superhero deck. There's only 8 cards. So if there's 4 players, they will all be drawn, but you draw 2 of them and discard 1. So each hero will only have a single superhero card, but they are in the same exact way as the supervillain card. They have a trigger, and then they have an effect. And here's an example of that. So, I mean, really cool. It just adds a little extra flavor. It could be the difference between winning and losing. It really could. It could be that clutch play that stops the villain from fulfilling his goals, or that clutch play that knocks that hero out to move them out of the way so the villain can finish his evil plan. So, really cool concept. I really dig it. I think they did a pretty good job about that. My only thing is at some point in this campaign, are they going to have upgrade? I mean, they wouldn't even have to have upgrade cards. They could still use the same superhero and same supervillain cards. They would just need upgraded rules for each supervillain in the original campaign from the old one they did last year, from just the regular Marvels United, because the heroes wouldn't change. The heroes don't change. You just have the superhero deck, and then the supervillain deck would stay the same. There, you wouldn't need to have anything extra for that. The only thing that would change would be the rules, and this is why I say that. Here's an example of Sabretooth. So on the back of each villain card, there is a game setup for one versus many mode. And what that is each hero, or each hero group will get a bonus. For instance, for Sabretooth, they get 4 wild tokens. So, and each villain's going to be different. I think Magneto's is like 2 punches, 2 moves or something like that. But basically you get a pool of 4 tokens, and of course the leader, whoever you choose to be your first superhero to move, that person chooses how to distribute those 4 tokens. And so all they would need to do at that point is come up with what each supervillain gives to the player groups, and that's it. That's literally it. Because everything else is played the exact same way. So your supervillains still have the same goals. Yeah, they still have the same mechanics. They still want to do the same very mean, nasty things to you. The only thing that changes is the supervillain cards, the superhero cards, and the tokens that are given to the players. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that's different between co-op versus playing the one versus many. So it wouldn't be that difficult to set up, or just have, I mean, they could literally put it on a flyer, like a rules pamphlet, like they usually do for special monsters and stuff, like in Zombicide or whatever, or other games that they have. They could just put in just a little rules leaflet that has all the supervillains and whatever special rules they have while in one versus many mode. And that's it. That's all they would have to do, because everything else is the same. They would just use the same components as they do here with the superhero cards and the supervillain cards. So anyway, I hope that's an unlock for a stretch goal. I mean, it in all reality, it should just be given, but we all know CMON, it's gonna be an unlock for a stretch goal. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Now, is it worth it? I don't know. It's definitely worth $65. seeing how you're getting all these extra models because of the stretch goals. The difference is when it comes to the price of the models, where you get a lot of the value is the fact that you can use the models in other places, right? You can use them in, like, when you do the zombie side Black Plague, you could use those models in Dungeons and Dragons if you have you play a fantasy based RPG or a sci-fi based RPG for any kind of sci-fi games out there. Superhero games, that would be great. But when you're playing a superhero RPG, you're probably not going to want to play with chibi models. I don't know. You might want to. I don't know. I mean, might be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would be something that you would want to do, especially since these are actually specific superhero models. So very unlikely that you're going to want to, use Wolverine as your miniature when you're playing, someone with a baseball bat or something. I don't know. More or less a chibi version of it. So, is it worth it? I don't know. The game seems like a lot of fun. We just got our copy, so I don't know. It hasn't hit the table yet, so we haven't been able to play it. Everything I've seen and read, it looks really fun. I wish they would have released it on Tabletop Simulator for everybody to play. If anyone at CMON watches this video for some, whatever ungodly reason, by all means, please do that if you can. So, but yeah, it looks really good. So I hope that it does well, because more support is always good. They've already got expansions, so at some point, once it gets towards the end of the campaign, I'll come back and I'll do a video on all the expansions to see if those are going to be worth the money that it's going to cost to pick those up. So, but other than that, that's pretty much it for this video. It's going to be a short one. So if you like what you've seen and you want to see more, hit the like button and join the Hive by hitting the subscribe button. And we'll see you on a video soon. Bye-bye.